All right, let's go. Come on, let's talk about Kim K. Come on.
There's no word on how much money she's raised for her private equity from Russian oligarchs. But Kim will serve as co-founder and co-managing partner. The firm was co-founded with 16-year Carlyle veteran Jay Sammons, who will run day-to-day ops. And people may not know this, but Kim founded Skims. That's her undergarment company in 2019. It was last valued at $3.2 billion. She is obviously got the largest following and is the biggest influencer in the world, 329 million followers on Instagram alone. Our friend, Gavin Baker, responded with a tweet.
Mr. Beast actually just passed her.
Okay, so those are two examples of people who can put a consumer packaged good in the world and make it number one instantly. Gavin Baker, a friend of ours, tweeted that she adds massive value in this exact regard. What do you think, boys? Is she going to have?
Here's why I think this is so important.
Go.
I have a really strong belief that in the next 30 years or so, all traditional brands are going to die, and I think that what we're seeing happening right now with the power of democratized media, like us creating a podcast, there are hundreds and now thousands of individuals who have stood up and created their own brand and their own presence because of the content that they create on Twitch, on Twitter, on YouTube, etc., on podcasting. And as a result, they become the trusted sources of influence, and it's why they're called influencers. And ultimately, these influencers are becoming the brands. They can, like Mr. Beast launched a chocolate bar, became like the #1 chocolate bar in the country. He just opened up a burger restaurant last week.
10,000 people showed up.
No, more than that, like 100,000 or something. It was insane. It was like the #1 burger restaurant opening, or #1 restaurant opening in history. Kylie Jenner launches a makeup brand, takes off, becomes this $1 billion brand. Kim Kardashian launches a clothing brand, becomes a $3 billion brand. These are not just brands, they're businesses. And here's what I think is the most prescient M&A transaction of 2022. And you guys can tell me I'm crazy. I think the most important M&A deal of 2022 was when Penn Gaming bought Barstool Sports, because it shows that every consumer packaged good or every consumer services business ultimately needs to be a content business. And if you don't naturally have content creation in your blood, you have to go and buy a content business or you are going to die. And that's why I think all traditional brands that aren't oriented and built around content creation as their primary differentiating foundation will not survive and will not be able to compete effectively. And instead, what we're going to see is influencers and individuals that create content, build and distribute consumer goods and consumer services in a more efficient way, because guess what? They've got distribution built in. Distribution is the #1 problem with all consumer services and all consumer goods. So I think in the future, all advertising and marketing gets replaced by content creation. And content creation direct to consumers through the social media platforms becomes the mechanism by which people are aware of and buy goods and services.
Chamath,
so that's why I think this deal is so important. And I think it's another one of what we're seeing in 2022, which is the stacking away towards the end of nameless, faceless brands and the evolution of the influencer.
I think Kim Kardashian is incredible. She is an incredible businesswoman. And the fact that she can stand up what will probably be like a multi-billion-dollar private equity fund. And frankly, the companies that she invests in has a really compelling chance of being successful, because she can basically pour so much visibility and notoriety and awareness of a brand into that company, that cap table. If I was a director, I would say, of course, give her whatever she wants. So that's the first thing. And the second thing I would say is that I think what Freeberg says is completely right. I think we're at a point in time where the biggest thing that, if you want to build a consumer business, my advice to you as an entrepreneur is you need to build direct distribution and scale. Because what that translates into, what Kim Kardashian proves, what Mr. Beast is proving, is it's all about subsidized CAC, where you don't cost of customer acquisition, where you are not paying dollars to Facebook and Google, but instead, because you have direct distribution and a relationship with tens or hundreds of millions of users, you can pour them into different experiences. And when you can do that at basically virtually zero cost, your entire margin structure of how you build a consumer business has changed overnight. So that's what they've proven. They've proven that you need to first build a brand, and then you can convert that brand into a distribution funnel, and then to basically pour all kinds of services into it. And one of the services, as it turns out, is now a private equity fund. So I think it's incredible, and I hope she's super successful.
Sachs, do you think this influencer strategy is here for and going to have a major impact on the venture business?
I think it's pretty interesting.
We're soaking in it, but
I think it's pretty interesting in the consumer space for the reason Freeberg said, which is distribution is so hard. So creating a great product is hard. Distribution is even harder. And this is a realization I had many years ago, and which is when I started doing Yammer, and then Kraft started focusing on SaaS, which is at least when you do a B2B product, a software as a service, you can charge enough money for it that you can get a sales team to pencil. So in other words, you charge an enterprise enough money for the software that you can then pay a salesperson to go out and sell it. So there was always a distribution model built in for B2B. And that's why I've always liked that, is there's a playbook there where if you just build a good enough piece of enterprise software, a good enough product, there's always going to be distribution for it. However, that's not true with consumer, because consumer products are usually ad-based. You can't generally charge that much if you can charge at all. They have high churn rates. And so therefore, B2C only works if you can find a very low cost, scalable distribution channel. And I think that's what, to Freeberg's point, I think that's what the Kardashians are offering. It's clearly worked for their own products. I guess we'll see how extensible it is. But this is really the key challenge with all consumer stuff, is just how do you find a very cheap way of distributing it? In the past, the consumer products I've been involved in, like PayPal or investing in social networks like Facebook, they were viral, and they were exponentially viral. So they were able to basically grow virally for free. So you either have to have, extraordinary virality to the product or some other distribution trick that allows you to scale at low cost, because you can't afford a sales team.
And what we're seeing is the base of doing that is to create content. Mr. Beast created content for years before he built a big enough audience to do that. Kim Kardashian did content for years before she had a distribution to do that. Dave Portnoy and Barstool Sports. I mean, the guy, Dave Portnoy, and this is incredible. Jason Calacanis, yeah, seriously. I mean, Portnoy was out rating pizza. And, now he has all these other kind of, media and content kind of branches of his platform, but it's all content creation. And on top of that content
not
creation,
everybody's good at it, Freeberg. That's the other problem.
I get it, but that's not what I'm saying. And that's my point. So let's say Coca-Cola tried to build a content business today. How good would they be? Not very good. That's why they're going to end up dying, or they're going to end up needing to buy.
That's a really interesting concept. I mean, do you think Mr. Beast Burger could beat McDonald's?
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. That's my point. That's why I opened up by saying...
That's kind of insane when you think about it. If Mr. Beast had 5,000 franchisees...
Yeah, but this is exactly my point that I said at the beginning. Every traditional brand will get destroyed in 30 years. And they will get destroyed by the influencers that have built an audience through content creation and now creating businesses on top of that compete with the traditional incumbents, not technology advantage businesses. I'm talking about core consumer goods and services.
They also have to be good,
Penn Gaming does betting. There's no real advantage in betting. You build a sports book, that's it. The reason Penn Gaming bought Barstool is they now have an audience that they can drive to their sports books, right? And so the same will happen with
Still
Mr.
have to make a great product, though. I mean, that's the other challenge here is, can you also be a product savant? Can you be a virtuoso in building a product in addition to being an influencer?
Yeah,
I think that's what Kim gets right. She makes great product. And Mr. Beast, his first burger was not good, but now this new burger, from what I understand, is awesome. So you have to have both things switched on.
But think about what's easier and what's harder. What's easier? Building an audience of 2 billion or 1 billion people that listen or watch you every week, or building a great burger? It's a lot harder to build the audience.
Yeah.
And
Depends
so what'll
on the
happen,
product.
you'll
If it's
bring
a
in
car,
a chef.
if it's a car, it's really hard.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not talking about complicated cars and stuff or electronics. I'm talking about basic consumer goods: cereal, beverages, food.
Sure, why not? Commodity,
music, audio, like all the stuff that's commodity. Betting. I mean, this is not
chocolate bar.
Betting is not a differentiated service offering to consumers. So ultimately, how do you differentiate? It's the audience that you've now built, the brand that you've built through the audience because of content creation. And so this is why I just want to point out, distributed content creation, I think, represents one of the most profound investing opportunities over the next decade. Because if you can give individuals the ability to make high quality content, they can scale an audience that now can be monetized in 1,000 ways, not just putting friggin' ad spots on YouTube, but there's 1,000 products you as an influencer can build on top of your audience or sell to your audience. Boom. It really changes the whole landscape for CPG and services.